So here we are again, everybody. Welcome to Millionaire Mindset Mondays. I'm Jan Carmanico Reeves, and I'm on a mission to make real estate investing fun, easy, and profitable. Tonight's guest, we have Jacqueline Francis. Jacqueline was originally a real estate investor, still is, but through the process of being a real estate investor, she realized how important self-image and mindset is. So she became a coach. So if you want to introduce yourself and expand on that a little bit, Jacqueline, that'd be great.
Yeah, hi Jen. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about our evening tonight. Hi guys, I'm Jacqueline Francis, self-image and mindset coach and real estate investor. And if you haven't known or understood what self-image is, it's really the idea of what you hold about yourself, what your identity is. And we all know mindset, right? And I got on this journey through real estate investing. And sometimes you just never know where things are going to land and how your path is going to unfold.
And so here you are. Sorry, I was just going to share it onto the Mindset Mondays group here. Um, yeah, so here you are. So you started
Yeah.
out as a real estate investor. Um, and how long have you been doing that?
So we joined a real estate education networking group back in 2016. It was my husband and I. He heard this ad on the radio and he's like, hey, let's go check this out. He was an entrepreneur because he owned his own business. But I mean, it's not the same, right? Even though you're an entrepreneur, you're still working in your business. And if you don't understand the principles of what that's like to overcome that, you want more. You still feel like you're putting in way more time, sometimes in a 9 to 5 job. So he heard this ad, we went to it. We're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. We've never heard these types of principles before. Don't pay off your mortgage. What?
Right? Remortgage? Yeah,
What
yeah,
do you mean? So
yeah.
anyway, we went through the process, we signed up, it was great. So 2016, we learned so much in that 1 year between 2016 and 2017. But I think we were just not ready to take that step forward. So we left it alone. And the summer of 2019, he came to me again and he's like, you know what? I think we should revisit this. There's something about real estate, and I know it's going to do well. At that time, he had already owned a condo. And that's how we all start, right? Like, oh, buy a condo, that's investing, it's amazing. Wasn't cutting it. So we said, hey, let's go back. So we went through the process again. It wasn't so tedious this time. And that's when things really changed for us. We decided that we were going to take this seriously and it was going to get us somewhere. So that was going into 2020. And we had the opportunity to jump on a joint venture partnership on an 18-unit multifamily commercial property. So we're like, oh my God, isn't this amazing? So first we just make the decision. And then here comes this opportunity that opens up for us, like incredible. And as you know, COVID hit, so we didn't do much, but we learned a lot throughout that journey. And by the end of 2020, we're like, we need to actually learn about multifamily. We need to know how to do it ourselves because the next property we purchase is going to be ours alone, and we're going to go through that entire process. And so we did. We got some education and we joined I think it was like a 6 month program on learning exactly what multifamily was, how to run numbers, what a performa. I was like, what is this thing called a performa? Oh my goodness. And it was the best thing ever. Okay. Once you know how to like get the hang of it.
What's an NOI? Why does that, why is that
How
important
to
to the
calculate
lender?
cap rate? What? I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But by August of 2021, we purchased a 6 unit, small little multifamily, which we loved. That's in Niagara Falls. And we were like, okay, this is how we start our journey. And then, throughout, we've learned a lot. We've taken on a lot. We've done some private lending. We've also been the bank to other people that we've been able to provide opportunities for. And then recently we had the opportunity to build a home. So because my husband is in construction and he works with a lot of builders, he had this land show up and one of his buddies was like, hey, I'm not going to build this. Do you want to take on this project? And he's like, okay, yeah. why not give it a try? We had talked about moving into development. So it was like, hey, you know what? Sometimes baby steps, we ask for things and they show up. It may not be exactly how we want it, but it shows up in a type of a way that we're like, okay, yeah, that's for us. So we did that and built the house that I'm living in right now. And through that, we realized that we want to move more into development.
Development is very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So along your journey, of course, as real estate investors, we know it's a lot about
Oh,
mindset, right?
yes,
It's
yes.
yes, yes. So how did that transition into or melt into your real estate investing?
Yeah. So I started up an Instagram page with zero. I'm like, okay, we gotta put ourselves out there. What does that mean? Okay, we gotta not stick by each other when we go places. We gotta network. So I started this Instagram page, and then I started following other real estate investors, and then things started to come up on my feed, right? People's quotes, this idea of entrepreneurship, of like when you go through struggles, how to build a resilient mindset, how thoughts become things, how what you think about creates your life. When you have a dominant feeling, either positive, negative, how it shows up. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then I started to explore this idea of like manifestation and really what some of these principles were. I went on a yacht cruise. It was a real estate investing yacht cruise. And then I met a woman who was actually a peak performance mindset coach. And that is where everything just kind of like unraveled for me. And I'm like, this is it. Like everything just felt like home. I started studying Bob Proctor. I mean, I always heard his name, but it wasn't like, it was like, oh yeah, I've heard of that man. Never really
Yeah,
knew what he did.
yeah.
And all of the principles really hit home. I started to understand about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, how powerful we are, what we tell ourselves, how, when we are facing challenges, challenges can be opportunities. It's not the end of the world. Like, talk about like drinking from a fire hose. I thought real estate was like a lot.
Yeah.
This, what, it just filled up my soul. And then I just knew that this was the right move to take in my life at that point. And I got a certification in coaching, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to help people do.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I've been on that mindset journey for about 15 years now. Just
It
yeah.
doesn't stop,
Yeah.
right?
No, it never
No,
stops, but it's
never.
amazing the transformation in yourself when you're on the journey and um just how little things don't matter anymore, right? And
Right?
and how you look at problems,
Yeah,
right? It's not yeah, because if you go into negative, then it's not going to help it. But if you
right.
look at it as a possible opportunity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like, what can I be learning from this? Like, what is this lesson? Like, it's all about perspective shifting, right? We're
Absolutely.
not taught to look at things from the other side or as the glass being half full. It's always like this negative. If you talk to people, the first thing is always something that's gone wrong in their lives, or why is the weather so terrible? Or it's like no one ever just starts off a conversation being like, oh my God, isn't today like the best day ever?
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
always something you got to focus on. And even, when we think about wanting to do stuff, we always think, like I hear my kids too, oh, I'm already gonna fail. Like, no, I'm not good at that. And I'm like, how could you already say that about yourself or the thing that you want to do without even jumping into it and giving it a try? Or just being like, well, why can't I do it? Right? What
Yeah.
would we
How
are,
can I? Yeah.
how
Yeah.
can, right?
Yeah.
We are our own limitation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that phrase. Instead of I can't, it's how can I?
How
Right?
can I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. So tell me a little bit about your coaching business and how do you run the platform? Is it private group?
Yeah. So I started my coaching business actually a few months ago. It was early this year where I'm like, I'm really solidified in this. I know what I'm doing. I'm really comfortable at being able to, and I felt like I've always had it, right? Like you always know, and you always
Hmm.
come back to things that you dismissed when you were younger, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, this truly was it. And so I do one-on-one coaching. I do some group coaching. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. So I am on social media to be able to promote my business and what I do, as well as like I attend networking events, right? I mean, it's not the same as being able to have that conversation with somebody one on one. And when you're able to allow them to shift their perspective with like some small thing you got them to think about, it's like a light bulb moment. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I never thought of it in that way.
Yeah.
I always
It kind
say
of,
like, yeah,
yeah, kind
go
of
ahead.
like when we were first learning about real estate, right? And it's
Yeah,
those light bulb moments. You don't know what you don't
yes.
know, right?
You don't. You really don't. And, we have blind spots. We all have blind spots. And if I can be that support for you to be able to just have those blind spots, for you to become aware of them, you're going to get to where you want to go a lot faster because you have the help, you have the guidance of
Absolutely.
somebody there that's holding you accountable, right? It's not easy
Absolutely.
sometimes when we have to do it ourselves. Like, how many times do you say, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to run, I'm going to do all the things? And it's like 3 weeks, and you're like, oh, and then all of those,
Tomorrow. Yeah.
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 But when you
Yeah.
have that accountability, like, not number one, you're paying for it. So when you make a payment, as you know, in real estate investing, when you pay into any sort of coaching, you better believe you're showing up because it's got skin in the game, right? You're
Yeah.
invested.
Yes, yes. And it's so true about accountability, right? Like it's great to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to," but you know if you have to answer to somebody, right?
You're making sure, yeah, it's
That's
getting
right. That's
done.
right. Especially again, like if you're paying for it, the
Yeah.
coaching. Yeah,
And then
that's
you learn
great.
a lot about yourself too, right? Like it's so easy for us when we say to people, oh, I've got you back. I will do anything for this person. And you do. But how many times can we let ourselves down when we tell ourselves certain things that we're going to do? And then, well, oh, it's okay. We'll just do it later. Oh, it's fine. I don't really. So we talk ourselves out of the things that are good for us. But when it comes to other people, we will be there. We will make sure that we're reliable. But how easy it is when, for us, we don't have that same accountability.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, and so true. And I think one of the things too is it's practice, right?
Yeah.
Like to change your mindset, it's not going to happen overnight.
No,
It's
no.
constant. Um,
Repetition,
yeah, yeah.
repetition of the things that you truly want. So if you think about like, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, you have learned certain habits, certain thought patterns, certain way of thinking and beliefs that you hold.
Hmm.
So 40 years of something, 50 years of something, and overnight, it's not going to just take root overnight, right?
Right.
Start to plant the seeds and we cultivate the seeds. So it's like, I have this analogy, which I'm sure you've heard, like your mind is like a garden, right? You got to start off small. You have to be able to plant those seeds and day by day nurture them. And then depending, I think, on you, a month, 2 months, 5 months, 8 months, you start to see the fruit of your labor. You start to see things showing up where you now won't say that negative thing about yourself. Or if you do, it's easier to switch it, right?
Yeah.
People have
Yeah.
to give themselves grace because you're right, it's not an overnight period.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of I love the analogy of the bamboo growing and it's
Yeah.
7 years until it
Ooh,
actually be. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I mean, there's faster ways. People say hypnosis because if you think about it, we learned a lot of the things through repetition, right? We've pretty like if you're going to play a sport or play an instrument, you learn it through repetition. So it's the same way with your mind and understanding what the beliefs are that you
Hmm.
hold. How do you see yourself? This is why for me, self-image is huge. How do you see yourself? Some people will be like, oh, but I'm amazing, I'm this. But when you start to really have that conversation, you can see that that's really not what they truly believe about themselves,
Right. They say it on
right?
the outside, but it's
Yeah,
not really what they feel in their heart.
right. And
Yeah.
what you feel, and like, and you will bring into reality what you are. You'll manifest more of what you are than really, the things that you kind of want,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I shared this lots of times. I because I sleep alone, I put on manifesting soundtrack like every night about
Yeah.
various things, right? And I just listen all night and it's subliminal and I've been
It's
doing that for
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's just working in the background because when you go to bed, your subconscious mind becomes wide open in that
Hmm.
moment as you're drifting off to sleep. But as you're sleeping, it's still working. Your conscious mind is like gone, it's out, it's sleeping. But there is a subconscious mind working on the last thing that you fed it.
Right.
So if you
Right.
have something playing a subliminal, especially over and over and over again, it's picking up on that. It
Yeah.
doesn't know the difference between something that's imagined or something that's real. So it's just taking it and processing it. So then you wake up feeling great, feeling amazing, right? When
I
you
am.
said
Yeah.
you are,
Yeah.
and you set the
Right.
intention and you're ready to take on the day. Things become so much lighter when you start to like implement some of these practices.
So true. So true. Like looking in the mirror and saying affirmations to yourself, right?
The
Um,
mirror work, yeah,
yeah.
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 Now the thing with affirmations, right? Like, so I know there's like this, everyone's like, do affirmations, but I think it really comes down to the energy that you put behind the affirmation, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you're not the thing and you're trying to tell yourself that you are the thing, your subconscious mind is going to be like, no, you are
No.
not.
Yeah.
Reject, reject, reject.
Yeah.
And then you're going to feel like I'm doing all these things. Why isn't it working? So it's like, how can you get that feeling of, let's say, being confident
Mm.
or, that feeling of wealth? People say, hey, I woke up feeling like $1 million today. So what does $1 million feel like, right? Be in that energy as you are repeating these like truth statements.
Right. And I think maybe that's part of the exercise of looking in the mirror is like really looking yourself in the eye
Yes.
and saying it so you believe it, right?
Yeah. The
Not
window
just
to the
saying it out loud.
soul.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, that's awesome. That's very good. So how would people reach out to you just through Facebook, the Messenger or um
Yes. Yeah.
a
I also have a
website?
I have a website and I have a booking link through Calendly as well. So I will share with you all the information so you can leave it for anyone that does want to get in touch with me.
Yeah.
And, it's really about discovering who you are. It's really about coming to understand what are the things that's been holding you back. Because we always have like this surface level thing, right? Oh, I want to lose weight or I need a new job. But sometimes it's what's the root of that? Is it not feeling worthy of receiving the job?
Mm-hmm.
Are you self-sabotaging? Because maybe you want the success, but you're afraid of success. So when it comes, you do something totally subconscious that you end up repelling it or you end up self-sabotaging. And then you're like, what's going on? Why do I never get the call? Right?
Yeah.
So it's just uncovering those. I do what's called self-image scripting, where I get like my clients to write out this self-image script. Like, what do they wear? What do they feel like in the morning? What is their morning like? And you cultivate this like idea of your ideal self. And you just start repeating that. You writing it down, you put it places where you can see. And again, it's through the repetition that like again, it's all like through this transformation of getting from like here to up here.
Right.
That can happen. And like coaching is not like a 2 day, 1 week, you're going to get all the answers. Like I truly believe to get results, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, right? Because it's the repetition. It's not going to sink in unless you are willing to do the work.
And it's a lifetime, really, right? To
Yes.
to commit yourself to reaffirming all those things
Yeah.
and surrounding yourself with positive things and positive people.
Yeah. But I think it eventually starts to take root and the things that don't align
And you
anymore start to fall off.
that's right.
Right? But then you'll get to a new level of the video game of life. And then you're faced with new, different things that sometimes you think you may have worked on, but shows up in a different way. So you're like,
Right.
oh, wait a second. But this time you're more equipped because you have the tools. I think coaching, like if you want to work with someone, you got to make sure you're working with someone that's going to give you the right tools, that's going to support you, that then you can take and you can implement. Because the whole point of it is for you to be equipped with that understanding and knowledge to be able to, when things come up, you can shift and then you can pass that on to other people. And then you get to a different level and then you may need a different coach for something else.
True. Yeah, yeah, the next step that you want to take, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
but just starting the journey
Yes.
and getting the mindset shift
Yeah. Yeah,
to love
exactly.
yourself
So
to
yeah.
right? Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
start liking yourself first before
Yeah.
you even
Yeah.
get to the love, right?
Hmm.
Um, and even with that, like people think it's so simple. It's like people want the strategy. Okay, what do you got to do? Tell me. But sometimes it's so simple as like writing out some gratitude. It's like, what? What does that have to do with anything? But as you begin these practices, like this energy shift starts to happen. You start because there's a lot of things that we don't see, right? But people want the tangible, I need to see it to believe it sort of thing. But sometimes the work is in the unseen, is in building up your trust, is in building up your faith that
Right.
things are going to unfold for you. And when you start to make that shift over, things do happen. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, right?
And like you said, it's energy, right? It's
It
putting
is
out that
essentially.
positive energy, and that's what you attract back.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I came to understand that we are all energy. Everything vibrates. We don't see it, obviously, to the naked eye. It just looks like everything is still. But I guess under a microscope, you can see the tiny atoms going haywire. We have an energy field around us that we don't see. But when you walk into a room, you can feel off of somebody when they're not in a good mood or when they're super happy because it lights you up or it brings you down, right? And if we have that ability, like think about, daily life and we're not conscious to how we're moving around, what we're saying to other people, what we say about ourselves sometimes, right? It all creates this force field around us that either brings things to us, like you said, or it repels it.
Right, right. And I think a lot of us, it goes back to like our childhood, right? And our beliefs of who we are from maybe what a teacher said to us,
Yep.
what a sibling said to us, what a parent said to us, all
All
those
of the
things
things.
that
Yeah.
create our beliefs. And some of them we have to undo. Right?
Yes. And again, that's the work, right? And if you're committed to wanting change for your life, you're going to be okay with going down that path. But you
Yeah,
have to
and
want it.
I think it's a wonderful path. Like I don't think it's
I agree
painful or
too.
anything. It's just
No.
uplifting and yeah.
You get to discover who you are. Like, I mean, we're all these amazing human beings that have these beautiful souls. We all have a purpose. But if, and we're born into this world. We have to have parents, obviously, to raise us, to challenge us, and to help us grow, even though we don't realize all of that until we, become older. But what are the beliefs? Because we grow up 0 to 7 absorbing everything around us. It goes straight into our subconscious mind. So they automatically become beliefs. As we get older and we go to school, then there's society. It's what friends say, teachers say. And some people don't understand too. Like somebody might have said something to you like in grade 4 that all of a sudden now you're like 45 and you have no idea that this was the link that
Right.
you didn't want to jump off of, I don't know, an airplane or something because of something someone said, but you really want, like, it's so crazy,
It
right?
is.
Things that
And
we've
I
gone,
don't think it's necessary for you to have to remember that
we
that's
can't.
the incident that made you
Oh,
feel that way, but just
oh,
to start, yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah.
not like you
Start to
have to
like
go into
question
hypnosis
that.
and yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
why do I feel that way? And like, and sometimes it's not about going like back and like, I'm not a coach that wants to go back in the past.
Yeah.
We could acknowledge that, but I'm all about like here and now and moving forward. We can
Yeah.
all move forward if we can forgive ourselves. We can forgive the past. Sometimes, like to me, the past doesn't exist except for what lives in your mind.
Right.
Okay? Because if it
Yeah.
doesn't live there, it didn't happen. There's no recollection. You can't go back to it, right? So how can you move forward? And that's the internal work that you got to do to through forgiveness, through creating new beliefs and really anchoring into them, really like setting yourself up for success, but still giving yourself grace because we're all humans and the path can detour sometimes, but we always come back to where we're meant to be.
Right. Right. That's Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. It's
Oh,
really
have you read
zoning
that book?
into, yeah. Yeah.
That I haven't read that yet, but I heard it's
It's
amazing.
amazing. It's deep. Yeah, I had to read it in little chunks, but essentially this is saying like the past is gone. The
Yeah.
future is
doesn't really
can
exist either.
no, no, it's all about this moment right
Yeah,
now. And
exactly.
that's what matters, and the
Yeah.
future, you can't change, what's going to happen is going to happen. And worrying about it's not going to change anything. Like, planning for it,
Yeah.
just
That's
right here and now is
right
what
here, right now.
matters.
That's my one of the things I've learned that's really stuck with me is learning not to worry about like what you can't essentially know what will happen. But we create reality when we cultivate these things of, oh, this and that, and we think about all these things. And sometimes when you put so much emotion into it, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you're like, oh, I knew that was going to happen, right? Well, of course, when you thought about it
Because you sent it
consistently,
out to the universe
right?
and the universe delivered, right?
Exactly. The universe only knows how to say yes.
Yeah,
So what is it saying yes to all of everything that we proclaim to be for us through emotion, through vibration, through frequency, right? Or you think, this thing is going to go a certain way and then it goes completely like it goes way better than you expected. So then you're like,
right.
why did I worry about that? Exactly. Why did you?
Because that's
Right?
wasted energy. I did this exercise years and years ago, and it said, worrying about something in the future, if it happens, you're going to worry about it again at the time when it happens. And if it doesn't happen, it's just wasted energy. So it's just wasted energy to worry about the future, right? I mean, you can
Exactly.
plan um,
Yes.
and have some things in place, but don't worry because things could change by the time you get there.
It
So,
totally could. And when we're
mhm,
working with energy, we're working with things that we kind of don't know. Because there's just a lot of everything around us that we just do not see or understand. This is why we can have our own plans, but they always say like, God's plans are always greater because that change of what you thought was going to go a certain way didn't go a certain way, but then you got a way better result in the end of it because it looked like something challenging was happening or it looked like there was a detour in the plan, and then some people get really upset over like, oh, it was supposed to go this way, and like you said, wasted energy,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Why don't we consciously create the path and the life that we do want, trusting that if it doesn't go exactly our way, it's going to come out even better?
absolutely. And challenges are put into our path for a reason to divert us because that we're supposed to that's what's supposed to happen, the way we have to divert. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know, right? And that was also another big mindset shift for me, right? Like
Hmm.
before, when things go wrong, you want to sulk and go into this whole like, oh, why me? And this, like victim mode almost, right? But when you
Hmm.
start to let go of that and take responsibility and be like, okay, you know what? This is happening. Okay, what am I going to learn from this?
Yeah.
This is growing me to make room for something even bigger. So it's like I'm expanding my capacity to receive something greater by going through this challenging time without reacting to it, feeling the emotions, going through the emotions instead of running away from the emotions, right? And then a lot of times you move through it and then you look back a year later and you're like, oh, I knew it. Like, wow, I had to go through that to get to this.
Yeah.
But in the moment, we can't see that. But if we can start to understand that when we're going through something, it
Hmm.
makes it a little bit easier to go through it.
It does. It does. And when I'm presented with a challenge, what I do is, especially really big challenges, and I'll just go, okay, I know you're going to take care of this.
I love that. Yes,
Right? It's just,
exactly.
yeah, take me where take me where I need to go,
Yeah,
present to me what I need to
yeah,
deal with this. But yeah, getting worried, angry, frustrated is wasted energy as far as
yeah.
I'm concerned, right?
Yeah, over like we're just being reactive. We want some sort of instant gratification. We want the pain to go away. We want the thing to just disappear. But in the long run, it doesn't help us. We
Yep.
just learn to sulk more, or it's easy to just blame others, like, oh, this happened because of this person or that or whatever the story is. Like it's these stories, right? Get rid of the stories,
The story. Yeah.
live for now, like
Yeah.
it's happening to me right now. Journal on it. Like I'm a big huge fan of journaling. I think when you're going through something, you sit down and you just kind of let it all out. Like you don't need to talk to anyone. the answers truly, truly are within you and the universe, right? And things will come to you when you start to be more in a flow state. And like when you start to like rest your body and
Yeah.
take a nap if you need to, like
Yeah.
take the day off if you need to, things feel heavy. And you'll start to see as you stop being in fight or flight, you become open and more receptive to solutions, to new people showing up for the solution, and these beautiful, what I call bridge of incidences, starting to unfold. It's Neville Goddard's term. I don't know if you've ever read any of his books, like Power of
No.
Awareness. Neville Goddard, a super amazing metaphysics teacher, that wrote all about how powerful our minds are
Mm.
and our subconscious mind being the womb of creation, because that is where a lot of the ideas come from. Like Edison, right? Went to sleep, came up with this light bulb idea.
Right.
Everything around us was once created from somebody's mind, their imagination.
Right.
So
Right.
why are we not using our imagination to create the things that we want instead of creating the things that we don't want?
Right. Because when we're concentrating on the negative, that's what the universe is going to deliver to us, right? Because that's what
Because it
that's what
just
it
says
hears
yes.
us. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're like, I want more money, I want more money, it's just going to be like, okay, I'm going to give you wanting more money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to get that one day in the future, it's always just going to be in the future.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes when we talk about like writing your self-image script or like manifestation practices, you always hear people saying, write it in the present tense, right?
Yes.
As
Yes.
if you're feeling the feelings right now, getting into that emotional state before the thing actually happened. Joe Dispenza talks a lot
I
about
love Joe
this.
Dispenza. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. I told myself one time I have to attend one of his retreats. I heard they're like
Yes.
not
Yes.
life changing.
Yes, yes, and miracles happen at them just from
Yeah.
the power of all that positive energy in the room, right? Like I've watched tons of his podcasts and things that have happened. It's like incredible. But the thing I love about him is it's also
Yes.
scientifically proven
Yes.
by tests that he does, like
Yeah.
by taking measurements and blood and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
neat because I think before manifestation was this like, woo woo thing, right? Like, oh,
right.
it's magic, or people think, oh, you're just supposed to like believe something, it's just gonna happen. You don't have to do nothing, sit on your couch and just trust it. No, it doesn't work like that. It's still taking action. And like you said, now there's science to prove how the mind works. And when you
Yes.
focus on something, just what it kind of needs to go through to allow it to show up in the physical form,
Yeah.
right? Of
Yeah.
how what we need to do to our bodies. How do we get ourselves like, he talks about people playing the piano, right? They do studies where people just use their mind and mentally rehearse playing the piano or playing a guitar, weightlifting.
Right.
They
Right.
measure that after,
Not physically doing it, but just
not
going through
physically
the
doing
steps
it.
in their mind. Yeah.
And it's often greater than the people that actually physically do the thing.
Yes. Yes. Which
Like,
is so cool. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like mental, how can you mentally rehearse, the changes that you want in your life?
Hmm.
Right? If let's say you want a house and you're like, okay, well, it's not about how am I going to get the house. It's never about the how. It's who you need to be. Because the version of you that has the house is not the version of you right now in this moment. So then you start to cultivate these ideas. Okay, what would it feel like if I walked it? What would it feel like if I was there right now? And you start to mentally rehearse that person in which has the house, right?
Yes.
What do they do? What do they do? What do they do in their home? What do they enjoy? What's their favorite part of the house, right? And you start bringing up all these like emotions and feelings, and you try to use all your senses to really to get emotionalized in the
Yeah.
idea.
Sitting in the living room in front of the fireplace and,
Yeah, you
having a
smell
glass of
the
wine.
fire.
Yeah. Yeah. And really get
Yeah.
into that body, right?
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
mindset. Yeah.
Exactly. And again, the repetition, you're doing it consistently throughout the day, especially at night or first thing in the morning. And I mean, like you've heard stories. Like, I mean, you've heard stories of things literally showing up for people out of thin air.
Yeah.
Or, 3 months, 6 months, they get the exact house they wrote down and put on their vision board. It's incredible.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
And then you become a different version of you because it's never about like the thing that you want. It's the process of who you become during that that path that you take to the thing that you want, right? You expand your vessel to allow greater things and bigger things to
Come to
happen and
you.
unfold
Yes. Yeah.
in your
It's
life.
not really about the house. It's about who you become, right? You
Yeah.
become a homeowner, right? And
Yeah.
instead of a renter or
Exactly. And
yeah.
it's a different, like it's different, it's a different part of you. That when you have when you're a homeowner, there's different responsibilities that come with just being a renter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like there's a different version of you when you become an entrepreneur than when you're in a 9 to 5 job. Or if you're single and you become a mom, like it's little things. But we always are on this journey of different versions of ourselves. Every
Yes.
year we change, right?
Constantly, constantly. Yeah. Well, hopefully that's right. I mean, that's growing. Not everybody does, but yeah. Yeah. That's that's what
Definitely.
your coaching business is to help people start into that transformation
Yeah,
to become a
yeah,
better version of themselves. Yeah.
yeah. And we all have a better version of ourselves. It's,
Yes.
are you unlocking those doors to
Yeah.
get there, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a little nudge because growing up, like coaching or therapy was always like this taboo thing, right? Oh, I don't need that. That's for people that have problems. It was always looked down upon. And as I got older and I'm into this, I started to realize like, no, it's just somebody being able to identify blind spots that you can't see. Right? And that
Yeah.
makes you a better human being. Sometimes when you're able, like life is beautiful. Life is incredible. I mean, when we think about the different parts of the world and living in Canada and all these amazing things that surround us, but we make it so hard when we focus on like, oh, I don't have enough money, or my house is too small, or oh, I drive a Toyota, but I really want a Mercedes. So it's like, how can I be able to give you the experience of enjoying life by still being able to shift your perspective to see and appreciate what you have in front of you in order to get more.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all mindset.
It's
It's
all
totally
it's
mindset.
all
Yeah.
mindset. Yeah.
And attracting it into your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like the book, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That is a prime example when you read that book of his two dads and the
Hmm.
mindset that they both had.
Yeah. 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 It's and I think as real estate investors, I think that was a lot of our first read,
Yes, it
right?
was. Yes, it was.
Yes, to shift that mindset, right?
Yeah, to show us what's possible, right?
Yes.
When we think that something is not for us, but we see somebody else do it, it's like, why were they able to do it? Because
Right.
they were still able to step through the fear that they
Right.
had. Because not, I mean, when we start something out, nobody knows what they're really truly doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Until
Yeah.
you again repetition, practicing it, and then you just become better at it. You overcome the initial fear, and then you're like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing, and you just keep getting better and better. But we all started somewhere.
Right. Well, and the thing is in that story too, like the poor dad is a professor, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
a lot of people would think that's, they've made it in the shade if
yeah,
they got to there, right? But
yes,
it's mindset of
yeah.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
saw things very differently. Like his idea was like, this is how you make money. This is what you have to do. You go and pay off your house. You go to work. You work this job. You retire and get a pension.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the traditional way of living life.
Hmm.
And as you can see, life is starting to change and evolve, and we're in this like information overload. There's different ways because there are people out there that didn't get the education, but was really savvy and took chances and risks on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Educated risks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
educated risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Educated risk.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it's wonderful that we have this community
Yeah,
of like-minded people and coaches like yourself, real estate coaches, all these kind of things
yeah,
to educate us to be able to become a better version of ourselves.
yeah, exactly. Because then, I believe strategy comes along with the mindset. So you can give someone the ABCD of how to go and do something, right? You can give two people the exact same thing, but if the mindset is not there, one will follow through and one will not.
Yes. Yes. It's like the I am affirmations. If you truly believe it, or if you're just repeating it because your coach
Yeah.
told you to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I think
yeah.
about when I had to go to church when we were younger, like my mom would be like, you just said the prayers because it just became so normal to just memorize it and just say it, but there
Yeah.
was no thought put into like what you were saying,
What you're really saying. Yeah.
My poor mom, oh gosh. Yeah. Right?
Same
When you
thing.
start to
Yeah.
really believe in something that it's possible, it's capable for you, like it's like sparks, like something just lights up and the way just starts to open up for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you just start that snowball of becoming a
Yeah.
better version of yourself. And it hopefully just keeps snowballing, right, over the
Yeah.
years. And yeah.
I'm sure you learned a lot, like being a podcast host and even having the idea to say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna give this a try and like start to have my own podcast.
Yeah, it was just, somebody suggested that I do it, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And I'm not gonna lie, the first few were, they were a little shaky, but I just had my first anniversary, and now things are,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And going forward, everything's now automated, and people sign in, they get reminders, the video goes out to them, and all those kind of things. So,
It was
it,
effortless, I do say.
what's that?
It was effortless. Like
Yes.
be able to click, pick a date, fill
Yeah.
out a thing. It
Yeah.
was great actually. So
Yeah. Yeah. So that's yeah. And it makes it easier for me to yeah. So it's just, and it's just sure, I can do it. Why not? We'll try.
yeah,
And and here it's grown to yeah, where it is today. So it's
that's
pretty
amazing.
cool.
And you grew in that process, right? From everything feeling and
Absolutely.
becoming so new to now, like a year later, you're like, yes, like what you've implemented in the process has made it better, has made you better, has made it
Absolutely. And now
easier.
people are reaching out to me to,
Oh,
get help on how for them to start their own podcast and how I do
oh
it
my
and all the
gosh.
steps and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of cool.
That is incredible. So by leading and by stepping into your own light, you then kind of lead the way for others.
Absolutely, which is fun. Like I love that, right? Like
Yeah.
I love the energy of sharing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jacqueline, for coming on and joining us tonight. It's been a while. It was great to catch up and see what
Yeah.
you've been up to. So we're gonna sign off. What I'll get you to do is if you can put your website and
Yes.
your Calendly link in the chat below.
Yeah.
It's on, I've tagged you in it, and it's on mine and it's on Motivational Monday. So that would be great. And then people can reach out to you. And yeah. So thank you.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you. Can you still see me?
I can still
Hi.
see you. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. And I just want to say to everyone, reflect back on the last 11 months. Look and see
Right. Yes,
where
we
you've
talked
been.
about that. We're wrapping up
Yeah,
the year. It's a great
exactly.
time for reflection. Yes.
Celebrate your wins and then, see how you can step into this greatest, grandest version of yourself as you move into 2025. See, there's so much possibility ahead for you. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. This was amazing.
Finish strong.
Yes.
Yes, and start the new year. Yeah, start the new year off
It's
strong.
a blank slate, right?
It's
You
a
can
blank
write
slate. So
any story you choose.
yeah, so get things lined up now.
Yeah, don't wait. You don't need to wait till be ahead of everyone else and you can start implementing the things right now.
Yep. So you hit the road running.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. And we'll see everybody next Monday with another amazing guest. And thank you again, Jacqueline, for joining tonight. So we'll see you all on the next video.